Broadcasting live from sunny South Florida and the best way to start your Saturday. This is KMA Talk Radio. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. And now your KMA crew. The man with the scoop, William Cooper. Alex the Goat Tavella. And always telling it like it is, Honest Abe Dababneh.
I like to smoke them like the Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar.
Good morning, folks, and welcome to KMA Talk Radio. Abe's at Formula One doing rich people shit, so you're stuck with us. That's all I got. That's it. But good news is I got some good friends, so you're not just stuck with me. Coming in hot, as always, my dear friend, always keeping it rumor and teaser free. My man, William the Scoop Cooper. Morning, Cooper.
Good morning, Alex. Hope all's well.
And then we got a little help from up north. This guy has become he's like the reliever. Like, we need a guy. Call John. John's in. John comes in and then cleans it up. Our dear friend John McTavish.
Good morning, KMA Talk Radio Nation. Thanks for having me on, gents. It's always a pleasure, and it's a great way to spend my Saturday morning.
Good morning, sir. And last but not least, I want to say second time on KMA, first time co-hosting, just hanging out with us, Miss Laurel Tilley of AJ Fernandez Cigars. Good morning.
Good morning.
How we doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. It's nice just to hang out on a Saturday morning. It's cool. It's a good time for a cigar. Get to chat with you guys.
Cigar, hang out. Where are you, Laurel?
Yeah. I'm home in Tennessee, in Nashville.
Tennessee?
Ooh.
Yeah, Nashville. So it's, of course, like the one morning I'm going to come out and have a cigar. It was like 50 degrees today. I'm like, oh my God, it's been 80 every other day. And then, of course, it's cold today when I need to go out and do this.
Yeah.
All you guys up, everybody's it's that weird time. Like, it may be 80, it may be 50. We don't know. We'll know.
Yeah, we're 53 in Charlotte today. It's cold here too.
So,
yeah,
of course, being in Calgary, we're kind of like Colorado, where the weather just kind of decides each day what it's going to do. And so we were talking a couple of weeks ago, and we had snowstorms, which is even for us unusual for April. And now it's, in the high 70s. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to pretend that spring isn't a season anymore. We're just going to go straight from winter to summer, or what's going on here?
That's what I felt kind of happened for us too, down here. We went from listen, 50s are winter. Sorry, it is what it is. But we went from 50 right back to 85.
Yeah,
it didn't do that gradual upward kick.
Honestly, this is welcomed. It gets so hot here in the summer, and the last 2 years it's gone from winter to full-blown summer. There's been 3 days of spring, so I'm happy for sort of this 50, 60, 70 fluctuation before we get into the full swing of it.
Right. I mean, here's a good question for everyone on the panel to kick things off. Would you guys rather smoke? Would you rather smoke in 50-degree weather, like 50 to 55, or would you rather smoke in 80 to 85 if you're outdoors?
No contest. 50, yeah.
Yeah, right?
For sure.
100%.
People don't answer in the comments. I got a poll.
Oh, there we go. It's poll time. Because I always laugh, people complain when we're out at the trade show, right? There's always something. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too cold. Now it's always isn't it better if it's cold and you can just throw on a hoodie or whatever, or throw on a jacket? Isn't it so much more comfortable than if you're just sitting outside, just slowly dying under the sun? I think the 50s is, for smoking, it's better.
Totally agree. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
He says as he sits in his home lounge that's heated to 72 degrees because he doesn't want to be outside. That's
true.
One or two,
that is true. That is true.
No, 50 is good weather. That's still even for me, living in Florida, that's still good, nice, crisp, sit outside, enjoy. 80's I feel like at 80, usually you stop because, all right, it's getting hot. It's too hot. I don't feel like sitting out there anymore. You know, at 50
it's always
degrees,
that-
I probably get bored at some point, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going in the house.
It's always that thing where, like, are you sitting in the sun? Because you know, if 50 degrees and it's sunny, it can actually feel pretty warm. Like you can actually feel like it's kind of high 60s, and obviously similar to if it's 80 degrees and sunny. Like that's 80 degrees and cloudy is a lot more tolerable than 80 degrees and sunny.
I am shocked the way this poll is going right now.
Yeah, so a lot of people like to just baste.
Yeah,
a lot of people like to cook.
Mm-hmm.
I mean look at the numbers, how they're going. Way to 80.
People like to cook.
Crazy.
To take your broadleaf cigar out in that weather and
Although
see how
I wonder if these
sponge.
are folks that smoke in the cold and just assume they'd rather be smoking in 80 degrees.
You're going to need your table lighter if you're smoking a broadleaf in 80 degrees, I think.
Yeah. I mean, broadleaf, to me, it just sucks up moisture like a sponge.
You remember Cooper in 2015 when we were in New Orleans, and it was so soupy. We were joking that every cigar we smoked, we kind of went through half a can of butane because you'd get two or three puffs, right?
Yeah.
And then it would just go out because it was just so damp. And
Too humid.
Too humid.
Yeah, it was. And I don't think, Laurel, I don't know if you were at that 2015 show, but they had no air conditioning on the setup day as well. And there were just very angry manufacturers just coming out with, the tempers were flaring because of that.
Laurel, were you there this year?
Sorry, it's you guys keep breaking up for me.
Were you in New Orleans this year?
Oh, yes, for PCA. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I love New Orleans. I know not everybody agrees, but
Did you guys notice any difference with this, that kind of issue? Humidity, a whole different place. I mean, going from Vegas to New Orleans, humidity wise, it's a big swing.
No, not this time of the year. When we were there in 15, it was
in the summer
story.
for sure.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I wasn't there in 2015 when it was just straight soup. When it was
it was really bad.
It was brutal.
But it's funny when they talk about Vegas and they use that term, it's a dry heat. Like I think I said, there's no such thing as a dry heat when it's 111. So
it's kind of like being in an oven. You're just kind of slow roasting. Yeah. I mean, you're just like, oh, this is incredibly unpleasant. I think the difference was in 2015 in New Orleans. I remember thinking, I've been to Grenada, I've been to Esteli. It's fine. Like I can handle this, and I got a block, and I'm like, oh God, I'm actually going to keel over from heat here. Like this is serious heat. And we had to dip into, I think it was like a bar or something. They're like, we're not open. I'm just here for the AC, man. I just want to not pass out on the street.
I don't want to die.
Vegas, I think the first year they moved it to the convention center, it was like we were staying, it was too close to take a cab, but too far to walk because by the time you got there, you're just sweating through everything. It was like, this is a horrible distance to be from the convention center because there's no good way to do it.
It was true. I remember that.
Oh,
I think that was the year where
no cab probably wants you. What are you basically going across the street? No cab wants to take you that close, and no point in walking, getting drenched.
And there was a monorail. I remember when I went to TP, I was staying at the Sahara, and there was a monorail to the convention center. You walked more, got back and forth on the monorail. You could just walk to the convention center.
Bro. That was the year I think the shoes would get sticky when you'd walk between the two, just that small sliver of sunlight. It's like, oh, my shoes are legitimately melting on the pave. Like, how hot is it out here? Yeah, that I mean, I feel like we've pushed 120 plus the years it was in Vegas in July and August.
There was Vegas 18 or 19 definitely hit that. I mean, we were close to the 120.
Yeah,
all right, folks, it's that time. What's everybody smoking? Give me the updates. What do we got? What are we smoking? What's lit up this morning? Cooper, what are you rolling with?
So I'm smoking a cigar made by AJ Fernandez. It's the Viva Guida Connecticut in the new Churchill size that I got at the show. And I really love this Connecticut. It's a great morning smoke.
Nice. It is a very good cigar.
AJ does really good Connecticut's, by the way, going back to the old San Latano Connecticut, which I still love. Yeah, he really does
San
good
Latano Connecticut.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Same.
John, you smoking?
Oh, look at that.
I am smoking. I think I'm contractually obligated. I wanted to smoke something new from the trade show. Sadly, I did not have something from AJ Fernandez. I wish I did, but I'm smoking something from HVC. It's the La Dirk. My Spanish is not good at Saturday morning, but La Decoración, which is his new.
That packaging knocked it out of the park too, in my book.
Packaging looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting a new appreciation for how hard it is to do good packaging and good, brand design and banding and stuff.
Yep,
makes a difference. I mean, I'm smoking Wawa coffee. It fit.
That's what you got to do.
It easy. Made it easy. AJ Fernandez rep on the show, nice and easy. Would have had this anyway, Laurel, even if you weren't here. So.
I found out Howie Long smokes the Bella Artes on a regular basis.
Really?
The guy from Fox Sports, the football guy.
Really?
Howie Long smokes that cigar almost every day.
Me and Howie.
Yeah.
Twinsies.
I love it. All right, Cooper. I'm gonna let you rant for a little bit, man. Let's get some sports going.
All right. So, I grew up in New York City, okay? And if you grew up in New York City, whether you liked the Yankees or hated the Yankees, you liked and loved Don Mattingly for who he was, right? And the Phillies this week, and I wasn't thrilled about this at first, but I think the more I looked at it, the more it was the right move. They have named Don Mattingly. They fired their manager, Rob Thompson, on Monday, and they have named Don Mattingly the new manager. And he has won 4 games in a row since he's taken over. And Alex, it's surreal because I grew up and I did love Don Mattingly, right? He was New York, and now he's managing my team, and he's doing well. And I'm like, how great! So there's not really a rant here, is what I'm saying. I'm happy about this right now.
What? What's going on? Coop's happy about sports?
It's funny, Coop, because I kind of feel like in my mind, Don Mattingly is still New York. You know what I'm saying?
He's still New York. He was New York. Yeah.
Listen. Unfortunately, it had to happen. It had to happen.
Look, they were playing awful baseball. At some point,
like the worst run differential in the league.
At some point, you could say it's the players, but you know what? They weren't the worst team. They were the worst team in baseball, and then not the worst team in baseball. So they had to do something. This happened with Girardi 6 years ago, right? Or 4 years ago, rather. Where they put Thompson in there and they got a spark, right?
Right.
So, I've been a big Thompson critic, although I think he had a good year last year managing, and I thought I was kind of under the impression let him kind of get out of this. I was wrong. I'm like, this was a good move. It was made, and like I said, to see Don Mattingly managing, like one of my favorite players, even though he wasn't on my favorite team, managing my team now, this is unreal.
I gotta tell you, man, Philadelphia sports, we're heading into dangerous territory. We're heading into our typical letdown territory.
Oh, it's happened.
We got Game 7 against the Celtics tonight. The Flyers are starting the second round of the playoffs tonight. Yeah. Phillies are on a 4-game with a new manager. We're going to start. The letdown is coming.
Well, listen, the Flyers. Now we're all on the Flyers thing, and everyone's thinking the Flyers are going to go. This is look. They're going to let us down in this series. Carolina is a really good team, but it's money in the bank for me at this point because I didn't expect to get this. Yeah, the Sixers, I know they're going to let us down.
I mean, isn't it for NHL playoffs? Isn't it the worst situation when you're facing off a team that just swept 4-0? Because like at least if they went 5 or 6 games, you're at a similar energy level. But when you have 2 extra games in them, I think that's a huge difference maker as you move through the brackets.
Yeah. It definitely is. The one thing we have going for us, and living in Carolina has a tendency to let break people's hearts in the playoffs too. So that's kind of both teams have this going for them right now.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, for sure. That's like the perfect amount of time to me. A team's got an extra 2 games. That's long enough to be fresh and not be stale. We got to sit back for a couple of days and watch.
Alex, there was one thing though and I've been a critic of our general manager, Dave Dombrowski, the Phillies. And I gotta say, when he was asked the question, were you pursuing Alex Cora, who was the guy fired from the Red Sox, he was very transparent and said, yes, I was. And I give him credit for answering the question honestly.
I mean, it kind of, listen, if any worse, and then you turn the city on this guy too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was time. It was time.
Yeah.
It was time.
Manning will get a pass unless he is absolutely awful in game management, which I don't think we're going to – that will come – I don't think that's going to come unless – managers tend to get scrutinized in the playoffs is what happens.
Yep.
So they're a long way still from the playoffs right now. So
Yep. As long as, I mean, that's always seems to be the thing, right? Regardless of the sport. If you can make it to the playoffs – you know, you got a little bit of grace period for the next season generally, and if you can make
especially
it a couple,
mid-season,
exactly,
mid-season.
yeah.
Well,
And to your, sorry, Coop, just to your point earlier, because you're saying like, you know, the coach versus the players. I'm always a top-down guy, you know, like I go, well, who brought those players in, and who's responsible for developing those players? Like you can blame the players all you want, but at the end of the day, it's your job to pick the right players, and it's your job to develop those players. So. I mean, you can blame the players, but it's kind of leadership that the buck stops with in my mind all the time. So I don't know.
It was, you know, they were look, the problem I had was they were kind of thinking this was a championship team this year. It wasn't, right? That was my thing. It wasn't. At the same time, they weren't a team that is the worst team in baseball, and they had the worst record in baseball. They're not that either. So it was, you know, I think if they were, you know, I think that was the problem they had.
It's good to manage expectations.
Interesting times in baseball.
Yeah.
Laurel, I do want to thank you for filling in for Abe during our sports segment. He doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
No, Abe would have. Well, we were doing it, Alex, whether Abe was here or not. I don't care about that.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries.
We held up on the boxing talk, so.
Yeah. What else?
That's funny. Yeah, he's at F1, right?
He's at F1. He's at F1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done F1.
I was going to say, Coop, you've done.
Yeah, my company used to be a sponsor of one of the teams, and it's a really good experience. I just don't know where Abe is at Formula One. Is Abe in the grandstands or is he in the paddock? Right, there's a big difference. So I can see Abe if he's in the grandstands is going to be cranky. If he's in the paddock, he's going to be loving it.
I don't think he's in the grandstands. He got invited.
Oh, okay. So he's not having to play host then.
No.
No, that's a very different. Yeah, I agree with Coop. That's a very different experience. If you have to manage customers, you just can't enjoy yourself because like all of your attention is spent on, you know, do they have everything they need? Are they having a good time? Have they wandered off to some place and now we've lost the customer?
Oh, I had that happen.
You just have no time.
Yeah. No, I think Abe is the customer, right?
Well, that's great because he could be demanding and impossible and have no guilt whatsoever.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
You know, I think like Formula One and because that's happening today too. The Kentucky Derby, they're very much similar. Like the race itself is secondary to the event.
It's the experience. Yeah.
It's the being there. You know, like my husband and I watch MotoGP, which is motorcycle racing. I mean, similar to F1, where it's like fast on a track. And, you know, we've been to like the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, and it's a cool experience because of like, you know, the energy and the crowd and being able to like walk around and see everything. But like in terms of actually viewing the race, television is way better because you can see all of the aspects of it. You know, when you're just in one spot on the track, I mean, you're only seeing one turn, you're seeing one section. So, you know, if you want to actually see the race, I feel like, you know, being there, depending on where you are, isn't as great of a viewing experience, but it's a much more fun experience just for, you know, being with the people.
Sure.
I will say that I think when it was going back to Miami, you know, I know Miami's a good host town, right? They know how to do events. But Formula One's a different beast. And so there was an element where I was like, are they going to be able to pull this off? Or is it just going to become this sort of thing where they're milking everybody for every dollar they have? But I think they've done a really good job of making it a kind of one of the anchors of the Formula One season, which is hard to do because there's some tracks and some events that are kind of, you know, timeless.
Yeah, no, it seems to be really well done down there.
Yeah, it definitely, like I said, they do a good job. For sure. It is not an easy place to get in and out of either, so I'm kind of curious where Abe, if they gave him parking passes or if he got the shuttle.
Helicopter.
Like, we were lucky. We got actually dropped off pretty much right by the entrance. there was a pickup area. But some people you have to actually park and then take a bus.
Ugh.
So
It's a pain in the ass.
it is a pain. It is a pain. Like I said, there's a point where
It's a pain in the ass because like, okay, this is fine. Leaving is going to be horrible. You know,
Oh,
you're not
God,
all right,
yes.
whatever.
Sure.
Leaving is going to take me forever to get back to my car.
yeah.
There's got to be a smoking lounge or whatever at the track, right?
So Padron has had one set up the last few years there.
Smart.
It's not in a paddock. It's outdoors. I didn't go there. I had people trying to get into the paddock like when I was there because everyone was in the grandstand. I couldn't get anyone if you weren't my customer in there. But yeah, it was Padron has had something set up there for the past few years.
Smart.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
and
where
I know
you are,
they've-
right. Cool. Where'd we go? Whatever.
You go ahead, Laura.
Go ahead, Laurel.
Oh, sorry. It just keeps cutting in and out for me. Yeah, I mean, I think F1 has been reaching out to other cigar manufacturers as well. I know Padron's had one there for a while, and they had different areas where you could set up. They had like kind of a pool deck area, like viewing spot, and then I'm not sure where you can smoke throughout the grounds.
I think General's out there too this year.
Yes.
But these companies haven't really promoted the fact they're there well enough, in my opinion.
I
If
don't
we're
think
kind
so.
of guessing this, it's kind of like, Padron, I think, has promoted it to some extent. They don't do a lot of promotion, but I'm surprised. I haven't seen anything. That's the first I'm hearing about General doing anything.
Well, I wonder to what degree there's restrictions on that, right? Because tobacco being the big no-no. So like to what degree does the Formula One organization allow you to talk about it else, because who knows with their contracting, right? They might have language in there that says like you can talk about it, but you can't advertise it, you can't post it on social media, because there's always weird rules about that stuff. Because it's okay to have alcohol sponsors on the cars, but God forbid you talk about cigars.
Well, this is probably also a play for this isn't the general customer play, and I don't mean General Cigars. Just this isn't, Formula One is expensive. You know what I'm saying? I don't think anybody's buying a ticket to Formula One because Padron or because General's there, but General and Padron are looking to cater to that kind of crowd during that event.
And I mean, you gotta think. I bet at the higher level of attendees, the sort of upper echelon of Formula One fans, I bet there's a much, much higher percentage of people in that group that smoke cigars than in a general sporting event.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Plus those kind of things, I mean, let's be real. Those kind of things, I equate them to like highway billboards. Like we're not doing, that's good advertisement. We're not necessarily doing it because it's going to move the needle right now. It's just good advertising, just good. It's good product placement. Yeah. We're not coming at a sale. Look at the sales.
Casino Highway 83, turn off here.
Right. Nobody's like, it's like, look at us. We're on the highway. Look, we're at F1.
Yeah, that's true.
Although here's a good question for you guys. Of all the various sports, right? So the big sort of live sports, what sport do you think would be kind of the draw for cigar customers? You know what I mean? Like if you can set up kind of a premier lounge, boxing, Formula One, football, baseball, golf, what do you think is kind of, what would you put at the upper echelon of like, here's where you'd like a lounge at?
I'll tell you, because the concept exists in my hometown. They just haven't grabbed it and ran with it. But there is a boxing gym here that has a full operating bar on one side, and the entire boxing gym floor, like at the ring, is like behind floor to ceiling glass. So it's totally in another room. And like that, if you could turn that into a cigar where guys can literally sit there and watch live boxing events,
you put a glass,
local guys at the gym. It's not, you know what I'm saying? But while hanging out, smoking, and the kind they have it. It's not a cigar bar; it's just a regular bar. But it's kind of cool, People they have local fights, and people are in there, kind of drinking, watching the fight.
See, I put baseball also up there. Well, I think Alex's idea is better. Baseball is a little more conducive to sitting in an area and watching the game and smoking cigars. Football, hockey, and basketball, it gets a little tougher with that. just because you don't want a lot of motion or movement with that.
Yeah. Also, I think too with baseball, it's like, you're not going to miss a play because you were lighting your cigar.
Right. That's the
You know?
point.
Yeah. Baseball, golf, I mean, for viewing sports, I think those would be the best just from like the slower pace of it and being able to relax and enjoy it. In terms of customer base, I would say like football or boxing or UFC, I think would make the most sense.
Sure, customer
But
base
from
for sure.
I'm sorry, what?
I said from a customer base for sure. Yeah, you would
Yes.
think boxing,
Yeah,
UFC,
yeah.
that for sure. Golf, yeah. But baseball and golf too. Also, it's just like I could do that. Like, I could go sit out by myself in, the left field corner of my son's little league game and, smoke a cigar and watch the game away from everybody. Kind of that. I feel like that same thing. Golf is just kind of a cigar sport, right? I almost want to get into it just because, it's outside. It's cigars. It's outside. The only thing is I'm left-handed and I don't feel like buying my own set of left-handed gloves, a club. So if anybody's got a left-handed club set I could borrow, I might get into golf. But yeah, that's an interesting thought. Our base we kind of have a, look, let's be real. It's kind of that, middle-aged man, business, working class. That's our demographic, really.
It is.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got going on here. What else have anything?
I mean, also probably the Kentucky Derby. Kentucky Derby would be a great,
sure, but
cigar
that's
sport.
an
I mean, and that's
event.
happening right now. Yeah.
Like the sport itself, how long is the race?
Yes.
It's like 90 seconds, but
But it's a weekend of events
It's
leading
the
up
whole,
to
yeah.
Right.
I wish there was more opportunity for cigar smoking at things like that because, it's so hard now to bring cigars to an event that,
And it's so made for that type of event.
I know. It is.
Well, like
It
you
is.
said before, Laurel, the Derby especially the Derby it really truly is secondary. It's all about the event and the hats and the sort of big thing surrounding it. They could almost not have the race and people wouldn't even notice because they're too busy having fun at the event.
Right.
Oh, I guarantee you most of the people, well, not most, but, a good majority of the people who go there do not care at all about the race. It's the hats and the mint juleps and the...
Yeah, I think your first statement is probably most. Outside of the people that like own the horses, since that's probably most. Most are there for the good time, for the event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even like the Olympics, right? How easy is it to actually view Olympic sports when you're there participating? Probably not that easy, right? But you go for the, the spirit of it, the experience, walking around, like, yes, it's cool to see the sports, but I mean, how much are you actually able to consume while you're there?
Yeah.
Yes, especially like you said, especially like because there may be like pole vaulting going on over here at the same time they're doing events, and you're just sitting in the stands trying to pay attention to one, and there's like 4 different events going on. Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's not the way it looks on TV when you're sitting there.
No.
Yeah, we've got a work event we're doing in Louisville, and I think it's the Downs, Churchill Downs, I think is the one there. And they were talking about doing an event we're going to do an event. And of course, being the cigar guy, I'm like, well, wouldn't it be cool to have cigars there? And they're like, yeah, it would be cool, except you can't. And I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Like it's not even active at the time. Why can't we do? No, nope, absolutely not. No smoking. I'm like, of course.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's getting harder. It's getting harder and harder as far as, tobacco goes. You guys, we mentioned it earlier, what's going on up there in Canada, John?
Well, as I always say, nothing is as infectious as a bad idea. And of course, the United Kingdom, as soon as they announced that they were doing a generational tobacco ban, if you've ever sort of followed politics in the UK or in the Commonwealth, generally when this idea gets proposed, as soon as the idea is proposed, you kind of know that idea is pretty much a slam dunk. There's not going to be a lot of people who are going to rally and overturn that idea. They've kind of made up their mind, and it's almost impossible for something like that to not have it go through. And so I said early on, well, it's only a matter of time before other nations, especially Canada, says, oh, yeah, that's a really good idea. We should definitely do that here. So our health minister, of course, said, oh, that is an interesting idea. I'm going to start looking into that. I'm like, of course you are, because we took on plain packaging because of Australia. That's where the plain packaging idea came from. They almost sort of cloned that entire strategy from Australia. So sadly, I can unfortunately see this being only a matter of time for Canada, which is a shame because it's a perfectly legal product, and you gotta feel for all the hard retailers out there who work it's a very, very hard business to be in, especially in Canada. And, to know that over time your business sort of is going to decline because the government's decided the legal product you can sell is just not going to be legal at a certain point, which doesn't make sense to me, but that's just how it is.
John, you can attest to this about, when Tobacco 21 started coming in and the cigar industry did not want to fight it, right? They didn't want to spend any money on it. And I and a few other people kept saying, you got to put some resistance up for this because otherwise they are going to go for the next step after this, which was either generational or Tobacco 25. And now we're starting to see that. I think if we had made it very tough to get Tobacco 21 in, and I know there was a factor with big tobacco too, and I'm not dismissing it, but the fact is the cigar industry didn't even put up a fight. They laid down their weapons.
No.
And they said, no, we're adults, so we're okay with 21.
Nobody 18 smokes cigars anyway. That's the route we went.
That's how we went on that, and this was bound to start happening. And when you see a domino fall, the UK fall, I hope there's a lot of attention being put to this right now in the US.
Yeah, I always liken it to, cigars. The industry is sort of the castle, and, we sort of have these moats that sort of spread out from the castle. And each of these moats is sort of a legislative thing that we kind of have to fight because, these groups, these anti-tobacco groups work very, very hard. They have a lot of time and they have a lot of money. And so they just sort of continue to chip away. And you kind of have to, unfortunately, fight every single moat because at this point, it's a stalling action for the most part to say, you can't have Tobacco 21, and you can't have flavored products, and sort of as they chip away and they get closer and closer, it's, other than the most recent ruling from the FDA, which was great for the industry, you very rarely see that pushback where you can kind of push them back and make them have to start over and fight that. So, yeah, I agree, Coop, that the Tobacco 21, I think, would have been an excellent opportunity to sort of hold that. Because, as you say, the moment it fell, I think we saw Hawaii almost immediately try to introduce generational tobacco ban, which fortunately failed.
Yeah.
But they had that queued up, just ready to go. Yeah.
You look at in the two areas.
It's
always
just
look at
tiny infringements.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I would be all over New York and California right now. Making sure that this does not happen there because New York City is the one that started Tobacco 21, actually. Yeah. And then the state, Hawaii became the first state, but New York City was the one that started that domino. But when it starts in New York or California, that's where you really got to watch out.
Well, I always laugh because being a former retailer and people talk about, people smoking cigars. And I said, look, if it was that easy where random people were just walking into a cigar shop and it was so infectious, that would be a great problem for the industry to have because we'd have so many new customers joining the industry on a constant basis. We wouldn't have to work so hard. But the truth of the matter is there isn't this sort of lineup outside of a shop of 17-year-olds or 18-year-olds looking to smoke cigars. That's not the industry. It never has been the industry.
I feel like part of the problem is we're kind of like alone in this fight because I don't think people see like the grander scale, right? Like, tobacco, but this can just as easily at some point be a fight for soda, dude. Like, you know what I mean? This is when you let one go, you open the door, and we're kind of in this fight alone. We're not getting like, hey, where's all like the freedom folks? We need some freedom folks, not just cigar folks for real, because this is. Like I said, it's tobacco now. It could be soda in a couple of years. It could be some, they could decide Doritos are bad for you and we need to stop the country from eating Doritos. Like, this is just what happens. The minute you start letting them in the shit, they don't ever friggin' leave.
No, and you're right. And when it's people who aren't connected to the industry, who don't smoke cigars, it's like, oh, well, it doesn't affect me personally. I don't really care. And it's like, okay, well, I don't drink soda. I don't really eat a lot of like junk food or whatever. We all know it's not good for you, but also I don't think that you should be told whether or not you can or cannot drink soda or eat candy or eat cheese or whatever. Like, like I don't personally like do that, but also I don't think it's cool for you to not be able to do that.
Right. So
sure, I agree with you that I think there's not enough support from people who it's like, well, doesn't affect me. Oh, well.
Right. Where's all our freedom fighters? For every other stupid cause going on online, nobody picks up our tobacco cause.
And I agree with what you're saying, Laurel, about tobacco products, because I can't even count the number of conversations they've had where talking to someone who doesn't know, anything about cigars, and they're like, well, cigars and cigarettes is the same thing, and it, obviously, as someone who's been in the industry corollary for a while, it's immediately triggering for me because I'm like, no, they're not the same thing. And then I have to go on this sort of rant of like, let me give you 100 years worth of tobacco knowledge in 15 seconds, because they don't know, and they don't necessarily want to know, and it's very hard to educate people who don't know and don't care about all the differences between tobacco products, and to do that to 330 million people, that's an uphill battle.
I just come
absolutely.
These type of battles is where like my super libertarian kicks in. I just think if you want to light up a cocaine cigarette, have fun. Well, who's the government to tell you can't? If you're a consenting adult and that's what you want to do and you're not harming anybody else, have fun. That's my political philosophy. Why? Who cares?
And
especially considering the shit that is so bad that we accept, like alcohol. I can't.
There's so much.
I can't think of many things over the counter
alcohol's so much worse
that are like worse than alcohol for your fucking body. There's probably not really much out there that you could consume that's worse than alcohol for your body. But free advertisement, whatever.
Yeah, but look at all that money that alcohol has.
Oh yeah,
right,
big time.
Right.
Big alcohol. I don't know. There was maybe like 6 months ago online, there was all these articles from like New York Post and I think there was one like from the Guardian and some other stuff talking about like, all the adverse effects of smoking pot. And some of the rhetoric that they used was the same in every single article. And if you look at the comment section, everybody was like, wow, this seems like, big alcohol being afraid that sales are dropping because of this. And you think about like the hold that they have, the money that they have to be able to, keep pushing these, I guess like the statistics, like alcohol is terrible for you, right? And I don't want to say everybody drinks, but it's a huge part of our culture, and it just seems like they are trying very hard to protect what they have and the stronghold. And I think there are other things that are really threatening that.
Here's a perfect example. I can look it up. I looked it up real quick. I can go to Boynton Beach Total Wine right now and buy Doughball birthday cake flavored whiskey. But a fucking cherry flavored cigar is in danger of taking down our entire industry. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Birthday cake, Doughball whiskey. But
that's not marketing to kids.
That's not marketing to kids. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure,
and it's just
60-year-old men enjoy a birthday
you do pay to play
whiskey with their cigar at night.
And at the end of the day, we're a relatively small industry in comparison to everything else, right? And it's just easy to get kicked around. But, there's a lot of tax revenue that comes from tobacco. So why try to tax it out of existence? At what point is it too far? At what point do you start now messing with your tax revenue when you just push and push and push and push and push to the point where, people can't sustain it anymore?
Well, we watched that happen. We watched that happen in Philadelphia. Philadelphia tried to impose a soda tax. Right?
Oh yeah.
And so you know what everybody did? They realized, I'll drive 5 minutes over the bridge to New Jersey and I'll go buy my soda in New Jersey. But not only that, since I'm already in New Jersey and I got to go buy soda anyway, I'm just going to do all my grocery shopping in New Jersey. So not only is soda sales and tax revenue suffering in Philly, that the grocery industry is taking a hit because everybody's just going to Jersey to go get what they want anyway. So it just doesn't work.
Well, and I know Abe's talked about this in the past, but when you look at states that don't have tax caps, and it's sort of this mentality. I don't know where it comes from, but they think, well, if we just increase the amount of tax we're getting per cigar, we're going to get more revenue. And it's like, no, what's going to happen is you're going to hit a point where, as you say, people are going to order out of state, or they're going to find another way to get the product shipped in for cheaper. And the truth of the matter is, if you had a lower cap on your tax, you would actually get more revenue because people are going to support the local businesses more than the out-of-state businesses.
People will
because
bite the bullet to a degree.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. And, people, consumers or businesses that are already teetering, you just keep pushing it. Well, you push them over the edge. Well, I can't afford this anymore. I'm not going to buy anything at all. Oh, I can't afford to stay in business.
Right.
So just,
That's the problem.
Sorry.
Some states are asking them to swallow a shotgun slug. I mean, you can only bite the bullet so far.
Yeah. It's rough out there, but,
But here we are.
hanging in. PCA was good. I feel like,
it was a great show, right?
Attendance was good.
How did you feel about the show? Was this your first time in New Orleans? I don't know. When was the last New Orleans show?
Last year.
Last year too. This is the second year.
Did you go last year?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So overall, the New Orleans
I thought this show was good. I mean, it was busy, and I think they have figured out the sweet spot for the days, because it was like, oh, well, it was 3 days and then like this weird half day. And then one time it was only 3 days and then nobody showed up at all the last day. Now it's like 2 days and a 3/4 day or whatever. And I will say it was busy the whole time. I mean, even Monday, we still had a lot of people at the show floor. And it seemed like people were, there to do business, and it drew a good amount of retailers there. I think more than last year.
Which location do you prefer?
I personally prefer New Orleans, but I think from a business standpoint, Vegas is a little bit better.
Vegas, yeah, I would agree with you. Personally, I prefer New Orleans, but I understand why you want to have your show in Vegas.
Why?
And because it's the convention capital of the world.
Yeah,
I mean, fair. I just don't know anything else.
Like I hear these people, they say, like, this came up on Tuesday night. Well, we should just buy a building and have a trade show there instead of folding tables and stuff. And I'm like, no, you want to have your show really on the center stage, on the big stage, and that's why you have it in a convention. Yes, it's more money. I get it, but. You know what? The CEO of the PCA got on the local news because this thing was at the convention center, is what I'm saying. So, and that got good press for the industry being on the local news down there.
In Vegas, it's easier to smoke. So
you put it in a warehouse. No one's gonna give you any attention on that.
Well,
but you also make yourself start to look like some type of fringe industry.
That's what exactly. Yeah.
Our big annual trade show is just in some warehouse.
It looks like a flea market then, and I'm not knocking
it's
flea
like a
markets.
pop-up. We're doing a pop-up event somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, y'all heard the rumors about St. Louis?
I don't think it's going to St. Louis anytime soon.
That'd be a tough city. That'd be a tough city because, you kind of take away, like, no disrespect to St. Louis, but like, we already agree. I think universally, New Orleans is a much cooler city to visit than Las Vegas. I mean, everything aside, New Orleans is a cooler city to visit than Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So you kind of take away that because St. Louis is certainly not as cool. No offense to the St. Louis people out there. It's not as cool as New Orleans. And then it's
chess club. That's where I would go.
Well, there you go. You got the chess club. But then you add an extra layer of it's a little bit more difficult to get to than New Orleans, and so you're kind of stacking these things of like it's not as cool a city. It's a little bit harder to get to. There's not maybe as much going on as New Orleans has going on, and so you kind of detracting from that. And I don't think you can really underscore the city is a draw for people to come. I mean, they're coming for the trade show, but also you got to have something in the city going on for them to want to come to the city to experience the whole thing rather than just the trade show.
Here's where I think St. Louis is playing into this. If New Orleans or Vegas, something falls through, they do need to have another option instead of having it one city. So with the laws changing in St. Louis, it gives them something to certainly pursue. I don't think they'll add St. Louis into the rotation. That's just kind of my feeling on that. I think they did a lot to build this up in New Orleans. They're not going to take it away, for any extended period of time unless they're forced out, and they don't want to get out of Vegas. So there's not really any advantage for St. Louis. The only other way I could see St. Louis working and maybe squeezing is if they give them an economic deal that they can't refuse, like where it's just going to have very low costs. That would be the only other scenario I see, but I don't see that happening either.
I guess what I had. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that I think it was that St. Louis, they worked to change the smoking laws for the convention center because they want the revenue that PCA brings. I think they're really trying to accommodate PCA to come there to bring revenue to the city.
I could see that. I could see a city making a push. What are some?
They could make a push, and they could. But like I said, it's I think a competitive thing too.
Cool. Do you think the New Orleans show got more coverage locally than like a Vegas show? Like you said, it was on the news. I mean, in Vegas, there's probably 30 conventions happening.
That's why it got on the local news there. So it did, and you're not competing with 30 conventions, but it is a very big convention center too.
I also felt anecdotally, Coop, that just sort of random people, whether it's Uber drivers or restaurant owners, I kind of felt New Orleans was very welcoming, right? Like a lot of people, people seem to say like, "Oh, you're here for the cigar thing." I'm like, I don't get that in Vegas. Like, I don't get people saying you're here for the cigar thing, and they seem to be pretty happy about the fact that we were there, that we're spending money. And honestly, there was a bunch of people who were like, "Oh, you guys doing it again next year?" And I'm like, "Oh no, it's going to be 2 more years." And they actually legitimately seemed sad that we weren't going to be back in 2027. So I don't really get that kind of vibe out of Vegas. I mean, I enjoy Vegas for what it is, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah,
I guess we're going to get money regardless.
But I think that if they stay on, and even if it's an every 2-year thing, but I think if they stay on this New Orleans, you'll see the city start to conform to it. The local businesses will start to get that event. This event is coming to town this time. We'll probably see more local stuff going. Like you said, but Vegas, it's one amongst 30 conventions.
I never felt we were special in Vegas there. Like New Orleans, we kind of felt almost special. Yeah.
And I don't want to underscore it, but I think the PCA team, Josh and his team, have done a phenomenal job of working that behind the scenes. And I honestly don't think they get enough credit. The amount of work that they put in to make sure that the city was welcoming, to make sure that there's venues to smoke at. And that, I know it's an enormous amount of work to do that all behind the scenes. And I don't think it gets as much credit as it should, because that's a huge aspect of making that experience feel welcoming and feel like, we can smoke wherever we want and there's events going on. And it's a big part of that.
Yeah.
Are there any shop events going on during this time? Like
there were
around? Are there shops around in? I don't know what the scene is like.
Not a lot, but there were a few this year. Like Marlon Wayans did an event I saw.
Yeah.
There was a couple of small companies up in Metairie doing some events, I believe. But most of the people are so like the sales teams are so focused on the convention. And Laurel, you could probably add more to this than I can. It seems like they're more focused on the setup of the trade show at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and even in Vegas, there's some of the lounges will do like local events, coinciding with PCA, but it's not like a huge aspect of it. Although this year in New Orleans, Manning's was not a sponsor anymore, which they were last year, and that was a good spot to go and smoke. But a lot of the bars and restaurants did seem more supportive of it.
That's good. Because I could just see like, for some reason, the trade show wound up at the Hard Rock in Hollywood. We're smoking and stealing an after party one night. We're getting everybody to our shop one of those nights.
Well, back when it was in Orlando, Corona Cigar really benefited because they have a huge parking lot, and they set tents up in the parking lot, and different companies had different tents. There was like a Miami Cigar tent. I believe there was a Drew Estate tent. So a lot of people did that, and they had a parking lot where you could get away with it. The disadvantage was it kind of one retailer reaped a lot of benefit on that because of their size too. But Corona did a nice job hosting that year. They did a very nice. I thought that was fun.
That's an avenue that PCA could maybe do a better job on. I just think that could almost be your missing consumer piece without having to let them into the trade show. If you're putting things on in the local area where everybody is anyway. Now I get it. Maybe part of the problem is, look, everybody's at the trade show doing business. Who's going? Who wants to? After all day at the trade show, go do an event at night somewhere. Yeah. I get
that. That would be the one thing, because New Orleans, they have a place called the Warehouse.
Do your job and sell some cigars.
Yeah, there's a place in New Orleans called the Warehouse where that could definitely happen. But that's the question is, these guys are working, everyone's working the floor for 8-9 hours.
No,
then to do a consumer, you do it
to go entertain at night. Yeah.
Okay, listen, I do it for the great smoke 5 days in a row with no sleep. I mean, it can be done for 1 weekend a year.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big impetus behind Coop and the rest of us doing a media compound many, many years ago, is because we wanted a kind of an oasis where people who are, been at the trade show floor for 10, 12 hours and then dinners afterwards, hosting retailers and other brands, to sort of come and be able to take their hat off and just kind of decompress and just stop having to be on, because it is a very long and exhausting experience for the exhibitors and the retailers. So it's nice to be able to kind of put your feet up and not have your business hat on for a moment.
Yeah. And
I like consumers. I like socializing, but
it's a lot.
Well, I'll say, it was to get away from the Circle Bar. And I'll say this, John's Developing Palates team is the one that created this idea of they were the first to do the house in Vegas. And then I think we came in the second year with them, and then now everyone does it. But it was definitely the Developing Palates team that started that. I have no doubt about that.
See, if PCA was smart, they'd have their own compound.
Well, the problem is that the problem is the hotel. They cut deals with the hotels. So
right.
And I understand why they have to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but they did look. The show was well planned. The show was well executed.
Yep.
The things that maybe I would say PCA could do better, it's a little more nitpicky. But the problem when we go back to 2015, the weather was one problem. That was just an atrociously organized and executed trade show on top of that.
That was Laurel, you got to be glad you missed that show, because I don't think there was a single person that came away from that show going, this was the best trade show ever. I mean, people were just from day one cranky and hot and uncomfortable and miserable, and it didn't help. I think it was the lack of air conditioning. We talked about this in the green room, but the lack of air conditioning during booth setup, the exhibitors were so cranky.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go to the 15 one, but it's I heard only negative things about the heat, the weather, the setup. Yeah.
The difference is, like, when I remember when they announced we were going, like, I remember there was a meeting, and it's a meeting. Scott Pierce was still the executive director. They said they made two announcements. Number one is we're moving the show to the spring. Everyone was like clapping and happy. And 25 is going to New Orleans, and everyone sat on their hands quiet, right? Because I think a lot of us remembered that show from 2015. Well, I think they actually took it seriously to plan, and I know they sent teams out to New Orleans to really do a lot of recon and investigating, and they planned, and that was money well spent, by the way, because I don't think we would have had a good show if they didn't invest in that.
And I agree with your take, Coop. I think at this point we say, look, the show is an unmitigated success. They executed at every level, and any sort of feedback we have at this point, as you say, is really nitpicky. We're just talking about incremental improvements. There's no major things that need to be changed. They've got a successful framework. They understand what moves the dial. They understand what makes the event successful, and it's just small improvements here and there to sort of put those polishing touches on it. But boy, if we could replicate the last 2 years in New Orleans in Vegas, then the next 2 years in Vegas are going to be really good shows.
Yeah, it was suggested though that Abe somehow get involved so they don't have lines at the opening party, because Abe has figured out how to eliminate lines, or Smoke In has figured out eliminating lines, and there were lines at the opening party.
Not even if you stuck a gun to Abe's head. I'm not going to speak for Abe, but I'm sure he will speak to this in the next show. Not even if you stuck a gun to Abe's head would Abe want to take that on. It's just, I know it's an enormous, even if he had carte blanche to do whatever he wanted, there's just no way. It's not worth the juice. Is not worth the squeeze.
Oh, I know. It came up on Tuesday night, actually.
Dude, listen, we've had people trying to convince Abe for the past like 5 years to do a second Great Smoke midway through 6 months through the year in another location, like somewhere else besides Florida. It's just too much to take on, man.
I wouldn't do it.
So much work.
You'll hurt the mothership event if you do that.
For sure. No, it's too much to take on.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
And we're too hands-on. Abe is too hands-on, for better or worse. And when I mean like Abe is still a paper guy. Abe would rather look at an Excel spreadsheet printed out than on the computer screen.
I do know people run some other events and they're not as hands-on as, and not to say they're bad events, but I can tell you they're not nearly the level of detail that Abe's got. He's working on that schedule and everything, and he knows every minute what he wants to do. So yeah, that would be very hard.
I'm telling you, man, that time comes because that's just how Abe knows how to do things too. It can't be like, oh, okay, let's piece that something. I can just do it this way. No, he's going to have to sink all the way into it, and this is, and it's, I'm used to it. You come November to March, Abe is bogged down. I lose my wife for a couple months. She's bogged down with the Great Smoke. So it's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
Well, and the Great Smoke from a manufacturer's standpoint, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's really great on the manufacturers. There's some events that you do where there's a lot more like thought and legwork that we as manufacturers have to do, but you guys make it so easy. I mean, the Great Smoke, everything is just, so detailed. I mean, we just show up and we don't have to worry about anything. I mean, and that really takes so much off of our plate, and we very much appreciate it.
Well, no, we also know you guys enjoy it too, because it's also one of the few big multi-vendor events where you guys actually get to come and sell shit and not just stand there and hand out cigars all day.
And it's a great selling event.
Right.
Yeah, and it's very streamlined. It's you run a tight ship with it, and I think doing 2 a year would just be a huge undertaking.
Right. Absolutely. But with that being said, folks, we have breezed through this first hour. I'm going to take a quick break, run a few ads, and then we will be right back with you. So don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Imagine not choosing Monte Cristo. Imagine not choosing greatness. The difference between us and everyone else is in our DNA. The flame of Monte Cristo never extinguishes. Because greatness is more than high ratings and exceptional cigars. In greatness, there is history, development, and constant innovation. Choosing a Monte Cristo is not choosing the easy way. Choosing a Monte Cristo is deliberately choosing the best option. Since 1935, we have strived for excellence. Our brand is backed by thousands of pickers, bunchers, rollers, salespeople, and aficionados like you. Choosing Monte Cristo is more than simply choosing the best. It is joining a family that believes in greatness. It is knowing that Monte Cristo evolves with the times, but still maintains our values and storied traditions. Choosing a Monte Cristo is choosing not to settle for less than the best. Lighting a Monte Cristo is taking a trip down memory lane, yet enjoying the moment and getting excited about the future. Imagine not choosing Monte Cristo. Imagine not choosing greatness. Now our story continues. Without forgetting where we came from, we are creating the future, one blend at a time. Here's to the past, present, and future. Monte Cristo. Then, now, forever.
Surgeon General warning: tobacco smoke increases the risk of lung cancer and heart disease, even in non-smokers.
Honest Abe here with the GOAT to tell you about Smoking's Cigar of the Month Club. Alex, tell our fans out there why our club is the best darn club out there.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you why. Because every month I personally handpick 5 premium cigars. No filler, no fluff, no fugazis. These are all premium handmade name brands that you can find in any brick and mortar store in your area. All delivered to your door for $34.95. And our average monthly retail value since the inception of our club has been almost $57. Another great feature of our Cigar of the Month Club, Alex, tell them about the ease of our Cigar of the Month Club. I'll tell you, I hate subscription services. It's always a pain to cancel them, turning them on. We've made it super simple. All you gotta do is log into your account. There's a little green button there. If it's green, you're active. You want to take a break, you're going out of town, simply hit the button and you'll deactivate your membership. Want to turn it back on? The exact same easy process. You can turn it right back on. We've made it that easy for you. Another great feature is our Double Down Club. Alex, tell them about the Double Down Club. We had so many of our members reach out to us who really enjoyed our selections every month that they wanted to know there was a way they can get 2. And we've made that very simple. With a simple check mark, you can get double this great selections every month and save $10. Does our club have perks? Of course it have perks. You want to tell them about the perks? As a member of our club, every month there's a special discount code where if you like any of the selections, we will offer them to you, so you want to come and get some more, you can get them at a special discounted rate for our Cigar of the Month Club members. And finally, expedited shipping. Tell them how fast we get the stuff out, Alex. We get the stuff out on the 28th of every month. Our membership bills on the 28th, and we get every member's package out on the 28th if it's a shipping day. 5 great reasons on what makes Smoking Cigar of the Month Club the best club out there. Check it out. Peace. Hey, I really appreciate you doing the video with me. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I mean, you didn't let me get a word in, but whatever.
What?
Well, great. It's perfect.
Welcome back to KMA Talk Radio. This is hour number 2, folks. All right. Well, gentlemen and lady, I don't have our usual name that jam, but we are going to name that jam it a little bit anyway. We're going to go with some This Day in Music History.
Ooh.
So let's have the fine folks from Macanudo take it away. Alrighty, here we go. We're going to start with, where the hell did the list go? We're going to start with that before we do anything. There's a list. That's not the list. Where is the list? Oh, this is apropos for this show and my lack of preparation. All right, here we go. 1970. This song by the Guess Who hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. A major milestone as one of the first Canadian bands to top the U.S. charts with a hard rock anthem.
Ooh.
No?
Pretty sure I know this because I think if I don't know this, I think I might lose my citizenship or not be allowed to go back to Winnipeg.
Yeah, this one's hitting me hard.
Come on. I mean, is there any other song by the Guess Who? Is there?
There's a few.
Very few.
No, I didn't see that. Really, I wasn't expecting this one to be a stumper. I said Guess Who, not The Who. Different band. All right, John,
Woman? American Woman?
It's got to be American Woman, right?
Yeah.
It is American Woman, of course.
Yeah,
It is American Woman.
I think that's probably their song they're best known for sure. Which is, ironic. It's a Canadian band. But it's a great song.
It is a great song.
I was thinking maybe it could be These Eyes was the other one I was thinking, but I think that was either that was the other one I was thinking.
All right. We're jumping to 2006. This band released their self-titled album, often called the Avocado Album. It marked a return to a heavier sound, 2006. The Avocado album.
Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam is correct.
Yep.
Wow, I should know that one.
Yeah, the Avocado gave it away.
I love Pearl Jam so much.
Yep.
That was everyone talks about Nirvana, but Pearl Jam was my Pearl Jam before Nirvana was my Nirvana. I loved Pearl Jam so much.
Yeah.
All right. Jumping around a little bit. 2012. This artist began his Wrecking Ball tour in Barcelona. The tour supported one of his most politically charged albums. Coop has it.
Yeah, I got this one.
Coop is just patiently waiting to see if either one of you two.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen. That is correct. All right. Last one I got. 1991.
Okay, there we go.
This band signs to Geffen Records. The deal would lead to the soon release of their flagship album, marking a
John,
shift.
you got this one. You got to have this one, John.
1991?
1991.
Geffen Records. This band got signed, which marked a shift in rock music forever.
You know this one, John.
Ooh, I don't know if I know this one.
Yes, you do.
You're going to be disappointed.
You're going to be disappointed when you hear the answer, yeah.
Laurel, anything? No? Come on, 91, Geffen Records.
It's got to be one of the 4 core grunge bands for 1991.
Keep going.
So it's either got to be Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, or I don't know.
You named
one
of them.
3 odds.
Nirvana?
Come on. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to mark the band that marked the shift, you got to go Nirvana.
Yeah. It was funny because I was like, yeah, he just said it.
It literally was the first one he said, too. Yes, Nirvana, 1991. No, Tony, not Green Day. Although I like Green Day.
Yeah, Green Day was a little bit later, I think. Green Day would have been, early mid?
93, 94,
Yeah.
I want to say, yeah.
Pretty sure Aerosmith's been signed since like the 60s.
Yeah. They go back a little ways.
They go back a little further than 91. Richie, that's a good guess, Soundgarden. Although
Soundgarden was a good. Yeah, like I said, that would have been a very good guess.
Soundgarden didn't get enough love. I think they kind of got. They were kind of one of those great bands that, because all these other bands overshadowed them, I don't think they got the love. But they were getting tons of radio play.
Alex, have you heard of this Madonna album that's coming out?
Kind of, sort of.
I didn't know Madonna was still making music, honestly.
So 20 years ago, she did an album called Confessions on a Dance Floor, which was a throwback to 70s disco. And I think it's one of the best albums she's ever done. She's now doing the sequel to that album with the same producer, and I've heard the first track, and it picks up right where the first one left off. If you're into old 70s disco, it's a really good, no matter what you think of Madonna, it's a really good album.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Good for her.
Yep.
What's been?
She's still touring, or at least she was a couple years ago.
She still is,
and
yeah.
she's what?
Wow.
Madonna's got to be pushing 70, right?
She's in her 60s, yeah.
How old is Madonna?
I want to say she's
68?
66 or 67, if I had to guess.
67, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Time marches on.
And Madonna marches on. What's been on the playlist lately? What have you guys been into lately? What's been in your ears musically lately? Anybody? Anything? No? Nobody listens to nothing?
You know, I have, like I said, I have been listening to that Madonna album, Madonna song. It's called I Feel So Free, which is the track off that for sure. So I've definitely been into that one. I've been listening to some Phil Collins lately as well. So
Have you?
Attaboy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, with him getting in the Hall of Fame, but I've always been a Phil Collins fan.
How do you feel about Phil making it in the Hall of Fame, Coop?
That was a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Because there was a point. He was also one of the most sought after session musicians and one of the most sought after producers in the '80s, and he produced a lot of people's albums. He produced Eric Clapton. I know he produced Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind and Fire. So he was very sought after. He was absolutely, and he had enough commercial success where he deserves to be in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm good with Phil Collins.
Yeah, I was good with that. I was not good
Same.
with In Excess did not get in. That was a bit of a robbery. Billy Idol gets in, which I'm still puzzled about. But
That is a little strange. I mean, I love Billy Idol, but in terms of band success, I don't know how you pass over In Excess. I mean, come on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just on album sales alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's kind of like the same. Billy Idol and Excess. You could play one after the other one. It's like, you know what I mean. It's almost like the same. What did Billy Idol? What gave Billy Idol the nod that didn't give NXS the nod?
Well, and Alex, you make a good point. I'm a big NXS fan, but the big knock on them is they kind of refused to change their sound.
Yeah.
And that actually played a role later in their careers, what happened.
Yep. Yeah, and
It's
I mean,
a fair-
as you go
fair
through
argument,
the decades, when you go through the decades, unfortunately, musical genres shift, and so you kind of have to shift your sound to go with. And I think Metallica is probably one of the best examples where, they had a harder sound in the 80s, and they made that shift to be a little bit more radio friendly in the 90s. And I'm a day one Metallica guy, but that was really what catapulted them into the sort of ethos of everyone listening to Metallica, is they made that shift in sound. And
yeah, that makes sense. Kind of has to happen over time, especially when you're, that's the thing about rock bands and even R&B bands and I don't know, maybe because it's newer as opposed, but that like hip hop really doesn't have, like, you don't see like 50-year-old hip hop artists touring. Rock bands can tour until they're 80 and sell out stadiums still. It's totally different. But these guys can just go longer.
I think it's about time we have a revitalization of garage rock bands. I think it's about time we get some really cool, whatever small town America kind of revitalizes that garage rock band. I think we're ready for it. Let's move on from the pop, and let's bring some rock back. I mean, am I alone in that?
Tony, it's funny you say you're a big Doors fan. I am too, but I actually thought of the Doors when John was talking about Metallica. Because actually, it was kind of the same thing, and people don't realize because it's like their biggest song. But like, "Light My Fire" was like, okay, this is the song for the masses, for the Doors. This is how we get everybody else. We need a radio hit. This is the mainstream version of the Doors. That's what "Light My Fire" was. So yeah, bands gotta like everything else in this world, man. Sometimes we gotta pivot, stay alive. What do we got on news, Cooper?
Stay true to yourself, stay true to your sound, but get some commercial appeal to draw people to you.
Make a few. Listen, you're in it to make a few bucks. You gotta make a few bucks. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's true. I agree. There's always that question whether you kind of pivot or not, or give something back that people are used to, and that's always a challenge.
I don't have a problem with that on like on a scale, right? Like I don't want Metallica to come out and be something that I'm not used. Like, what is this? But I also don't mind Metallica coming out and doing something a little bit outside of, what they're used to. It's fresh. Look, we see it in sports, right? When a batter isn't hitting the ball anymore, he kind of changes his stance. When a boxer goes into a fight, maybe he has a different game plan. So and sometimes it's great to see like just a band that, kind of was like you used to be into and you just got used to the sound. Change is good.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, I'm ranting. What do you got in the news, Cooper?
We got some. So the news is going to be stuff from the trade show. We'll still be going through this week because that's pretty much the news. So I picked 5 stories this week we can go through.
All right, let's hit it. Let's get to it.
Hey, yo, what's my theme music?
The Scoop with Coop. Breaking industry news. Hear it first on KMA Talk Radio and cigar-coop.com.
All right, Cooper, what do we got?
All right, let's start off with Camacho. So they didn't have a lot of new releases at the trade show, but they did have one that was maybe intriguing to a lot of people. They brought back for the first time, I want to say in about 4 or 5 years, the Camacho Liberty. So the Camacho Liberty was an annual release for about 20 years that would come out every year around 4th of July. and it was basically a cigar they put in a coffin, and it was kind of a special release. And they had a good run for about 20 years, and then they finally just ended it. I did predict it was coming back this year because of America 250. I would have been surprised if they didn't. So they brought it back. Then they're calling it Camacho 250. There's a couple of things. First of all, there's no coffin, right? So I kind of gave Jack Kyer a little grief, like, where's the coffin? And he was like, this was kind of a late play, I guess, since he took over Camacho to kind of get this released. So they didn't have time to make coffins, so they decided to put them in bundles, which I gave them crap on. But they put the bundles in the Declaration of Independence text thing. So there's a red, white, blue. Yeah, which is cool. And the other thing is they're event cigars. So these are only going to be available at Camacho events to get. So I can see it's not something that will probably be, geared for shelves. So it makes some sense there. So they don't have pricing on any of this yet. We just know it's a 6x54 cigar, and we should definitely start to see these around, Independence Day. But yep, Liberty is coming back. I don't know if Liberty, they're going to continue it. It didn't sound like it's going to be an ongoing thing. I guess they're going to see.
I love this and hate it at the same time, but understand based on your explanation, Cooper, because I've been a critic of these damn American 250 cigars, right? Like everybody wants to do one. I get it.
They are putting American tobacco in it.
This is the one that fits. Camacho Liberty used to come out every year. It's great. It was like, this is like, no brainer. Bring back the bundle. Like, this should have been the best coffin that they ever had. It should have been the best spot. But I get it. If you're telling me time wasn't really Jack, time.
Jack came into the role. He didn't have
I'm glad they got something done because Camacho's one of the ones that should. But
that's what I mean. He was saying they have to have it. They had to have it. Like, how do you not have it? They were the originators of this whole thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I think, like I said, I think they did the best they could with that too. I mean, the bundles aren't. There's at least some creativity around the bundles and stuff. So, like, I'm not a fan of bundles, but again, it's an event-only cigar, which is I can understand that too. That makes.
I think it's very safe to say you are not a fan of bundles.
Craft paper bundles.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't mind bundles. I just don't like the ones where they're covered in paper and you can't see the cigars. So,
I will say that's actually. I can appreciate that play. Look, we don't have the time to make. We want to make, so we're not just going to try and put something in Bob. But at least we can make event cigars. We have enough to do that and make something special, rather than try to like force something out real quick. Just put out paper bundles, to sell. So I can appreciate that.
Yep.
Because they're definitely one that should be making an American 250 cigar.
Yeah, like I said, they were the originators of that concept, going back to Christian Aroa. This is like 2002 they were doing these. So. And that series ran for 20 years. That's a long time to come. And they always would change the cigar every year, change the packaging every year. It gets 20 years is a long time to do that every year. So, So I think they gave it a break, and now they're bringing it back for the 250. Now my other thing is like, well, they should have been planning this like, they knew when the 250 date was. So,
it's hard to say 250 crept up on you.
But I guess there was just no plans to do that. Yeah.
What, that's this year? I thought that was next year.
I gave another manufacturer a hard time on that too. Like, you don't have all this ready yet?
Listen, counting's hard, okay? You got to one after another. It's very hard to keep track of. There's a lot going on.
Yep. All right. Johnny Tobacconaut, Room 101. There's a new Johnny Tobacconaut coming out. A Johnny Tobacconaut Maduro. This is a regular production line. It's coming out of AJ Fernandez's factory. They had a lot of success with the original, with the last Johnny Tobacconaut, which is a regular production, which is the Connecticut shade. So now they're going with the Maduro. So it's got the the Spaceman on there, a little bit different packaging. It's a undisclosed Maduro blend over Nicaraguan tobaccos. 20-count boxes. Pricing is pretty reasonable. $10.29 to $12.49, which in this market is pretty good. I thought STG did a good job keeping pricing affordable this year with all their releases. They really didn't go for a very expensive cigar. In fact, this may have been one of the more expensive ones they had. But this, Johnny Tobacconaut probably was one of the best Room 101 releases in recent time that came out. I mean, it was a really good cigar.
Really stuck as a core.
it stuck as a core. I wish this is what I would like to see STG do more of. So I'm glad they did more of this. I think it made sense to do a Maduro, so you could tap into the Maduro fans as well.
And a great
I
name.
got a chance. Yeah, it's a great name.
Great name. Absolutely.
I got a chance to smoke this at the gala because I know a guy, and I got to say this has quietly made my cigars that I'm excited for coming out of the trade show, and I was not expecting it, and it just kind of got handed to me. I smoked it, and I'm like, okay, this is really good. And then I heard the price point. I'm like, okay, this is gonna do well at that price point for sure.
Just a side note question, Coop. What's going on with Alec Bradley?
Well, I think they
Is that
actually
like
had
a tale of two different stories, man? Of two sales that kind of happened around the same time, and
I think
feel
Alec
like
Bradley was a much bigger sale than Room 101, so it's been a tougher one, I think, to integrate. This year they came out with the Alec Bradley 30-year cigar, which I actually thought was a really good cigar. I smoked that one, and it was a throwback to the older Alec Bradleys in terms of profile and packaging. And that was a cigar supposedly Alan Rubin was involved with. I don't know if he was involved with it prior acquisition or post acquisition, but they said Alan Rubin was involved with the blend selection with that one, and it makes all the sense because it is a definite throwback Alec Bradley, and that's going to be a core line anniversary cigar and around that same price point as the Johnny Tobacco. It was a pretty good cigar. So I think they've kind of gone through a lot of pains with the integration with that, and that was a bigger integration to do than Room 101, which was much smaller. But it seemed like so I think it was easier for Room 101 to succeed earlier on, is what I'm saying.
yeah, because I mean, I feel if you look at it, just look at it for what it is. You see Room 101 thriving right now as opposed to Alec Bradley.
There was
at least in the news and
yeah,
what's in your face.
There was a quiet story at STG that really didn't get talked a lot about. Well, for the past few years they were alternating between Fords and General. This year they had everything pretty much back in the booths, Fords and General this year, which they kind of kept low key until the trade show. So, in fact, I can make an argument there was as much Fords as General this year in there. So they had a lot of that. They had most of the brands represented there this year.
That flathead booth set up there. That was kind of I think that might have been the key of that booth. I mean, that was really a well done setup. It was kind of a cool display. The color scheme was good. That was nice to see. It's good to see a little bit of that showmanship and showcasing back.
That was up for one of my booths at the trade show, but it was not. I don't know if it was but probably it wasn't a whole booth. It was really more of a display.
Right.
So if it was a full booth, I would have gave it booth to the show for sure. Because they had the old gas tank in there. The red. They really did a nice job with the CAO display there. In the STG booth, that was the best display by far.
Yeah, it looked really nice. What were your favorite booths?
Good question. Good question, actually.
Tough question.
Yeah, it was. I know Altadis had a really nice booth this year. They always do.
All right, wait. I'm gonna read favorite big booth, favorite small booth. I'll make it a little easier for you guys, or harder.
That's a tough question because I feel like the trade show is such a whirlwind. It's hard to sort of work backwards through your brain about all the booths you visited. Big booth for me is probably STG. I just think. I was kind of expecting them to have maybe a bit of a down year, and I think the booth setup and the layout and the traffic was phenomenal. For Big Booth, that was probably a standout for me, I think. What about you, Coop?
I think, like I said, I think Altadis was mine. I mean, there are some booths that I'm not going to count because they're the same booth every year. You know, so the Fuente one's been around for a while, so it wouldn't really be fair to kind of put that one in there per se. But I would say probably I thought the one that was laid out the best in terms of size. It was definitely the Altadis booth. As far as small booths go, I didn't see it. Right, so I know there's one that a lot of you guys saw. So I know the people were talking about Blackbird, right? But I didn't see that one, so it wasn't really fair for me to say that. I'm gonna go with. I actually thought the Crux booth was really nicely laid out this year.
That video screen they have,
Yeah.
because we were talking to Casey about that. It's sort of it's almost a throwaway because the reason they had the screen originally was the Masters, right? They
Masters,
wanted to
yeah.
show off the Masters,
Yeah.
and it's quietly become this sort of showpiece where they realized, you know what, we can use this for marketing, and it's a few bucks obviously for a big screen, but it ends up being quite a splash. And we saw it sitting at the Crux booth. People would walk by and stop and kind of look and watch for a few seconds and continue on. It's like, look, that if you can stop somebody in the aisle for even a few seconds.
Didn't stop in the booth, right?
Right, but
absolutely.
But they changed the layout a bit this year too.
A lot more open.
It had a nice lounge feel to it in a lot of ways. Yeah, so it was much more open, right? I thought they had really clean display cabinets with their brands and everything. So that would probably be the one I would say for smaller booths.
Laurel,
So,
did you get to travel
kind of like
around at all?
Not really. Monday I was hoping it was going to be a little bit slower. So this is like my walk around day, and it was not, which like is good for business, but bad for me personally. Altadis, they always do a great booth, and we actually use the same booth company as Altadis, which Pinnacle, they're amazing. And in Placencia, I always find that their booth, it's like understated, but it's like flash and function. I didn't get to see their booth as well this year, but no, unfortunately I didn't really get to walk around too much.
We can come back to that, but definitely it felt like day 3 was substantially busier than last year, to the point where their booths we couldn't even get in. It was wild.
Yeah.
Really?
The ghost town wasn't there.
It was not.
Do you remember, John? I put that picture up of day 4 of the ghost town.
Yeah,
I got so much trouble.
Well, it was like, look, can you this is a picture down one of the main aisles. Can you see anyone? Can you physically see a human being in this picture? There's no people.
And the Oliva booth was shut down. All right. I got in a lot of trouble with that.
Did you?
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Turn the pot, Cooper.
This may be for you two media guys. Are there any smaller companies that you feel like, just in your view of being there, it looks like they had a good show? Like I remember like a couple years ago, Coop, you came out of like El Mago seemed to have a good show. He made a good presence. You know what I'm saying? Is there anybody out there that stood out to you? Like these small guys look like they may have had a good breakout kind of show.
I'll say that I didn't get a chance to visit, but Marlon's booth, which was unfortunately kind of way on the outskirts. I mean, he was in the boons.
Yeah.
And we rolled by on day 1 at like 5:40. So this is definitely closing time. And Marlon was still, credit to Marlon, he was still shaking hands, taking photos, doing selfies right up until probably 5 minutes after the close. And so, I don't know how much that translates into business, but look, if you got traffic at your booth at 5:45, 5:50 at the end of the day on day 1, which has traditionally been kind of visiting the heavies and not the boutiques,
right?
That's kind of what you want. So, hopefully it translated into business for them.
The one I'm going to say that was busy, because we actually tried to get there day 1. And I predict, Alex, this will be a smoke-in radar brand that you're going to start to see demand for, is Domain Cigars.
Oh, they were slammed.
Domain Cigars, and they're doing all the right things as a small company. They were very busy. They had several new releases this year. They had a very small booth, and like I said, we got to them on day 2. We were lucky to get to them on day 2 at a good time. We got to them early.
We didn't get to see Daniel at all. We went by. Day 1 was impossible. It's weird how busy the boutiques were on day 1, and then like you got in on day 2. We couldn't. There was no break. Even I don't even know if Daniel used the bathroom, honestly, on all 3 days. And then on day 3, we're like, okay, day 3 is traditionally the day where you can kind of clean up, because again, you got that sort of quieter factor. And like Laurel mentioned, there was no time on day 3. So we swung by his booth, I don't know, 8 times, 10 times on day 3. It was not happening.
Yeah, he's also going full blown, Alex, into the cigar. He's got a whole enterprise. It's not just a brand. He has a factory. He has a tobacco processing operation in Nicaragua. He owns some farms right now. So he is kind of going.
We're talking about
Domain, yeah, and the cigars are really
Domain
good.
is Esteban Dislas, right?
Right. So that was the guy who used to be with Roma Craft. He did the blending for Roma Craft early on, and he kind of has now joined up with Daniel.
Yes.
They also have a guy.
Actually, more so than the Leaf by Esteban was actually my first time.
Yeah. So they also have a guy named Kevin Baxter, who people may not remember. He was one of the original co-founders of Asylum with Lazuka, and he left very early on. So he's now working with them as well, and there's a brand with him. And the cigars are getting very well received. So I think they're starting to build some. I think they really need this. The first year they were kind of quiet. This year I think they had much more buzz this year compared to last year. This was their second year at the trade show.
Gotcha. Good looking cigars too.
I know that you guys had them at the Great Smoke, but Mayflower, they had a decent looking booth setup, but I felt like location wise, they
I didn't
were
get to them
the back a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't get to them this year actually, which I was disappointed with. Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel's kind of doing a little mini AJ Fernandez thing. He's building the stable, right? He's building the tobacco. He's building the manufacturing of the brands. Because I think, that's sometimes AJ, he's known a little bit more for the manufacturing than his own brand sometimes, because he's built this massive stable of production for other brands. And I think Daniel might be taking a little bit of a key from that, because
Cooper.
Yep.
What else you got?
All right. So Tatawahe had several releases. And this is kind of a two releases that are tied together. So first up, they are introducing a new full-size monster. And it's not one that's going to be in the Halloween cycle, but it's one they haven't released in a full size. But they've released it before, and it's the Creature. So the Creature was available in the Monster Mash and the Monster Smash samplers. Now they're doing a full size of the Creature, which is going to be a 6 7/8 by 52 Perfecto. It's a Nicaraguan Puro featuring a Criollo wrapper. And they're doing a 7,000 box run. Pricing is going to be a little higher. Pete said this one's higher. It's $19.54 for pricing, and basically said to us he wants to keep the other monsters at $13 every year, so he had to make it up somehow. So he kind of did that here. So that should be coming out relatively like this month in May is what I've been told. At the same time, and John, I have validated this. Okay. Pete has.
I know where this is going.
Pete has this series called The Old Man in the Sea. And what it is it's a Culebra and a Lancero. So
like the
he's
book?
doing it. Yep. So he's doing an Old Man in the Sea monster, which is based on the Creature blend. So the difference is with this is the Lancero is actually a Lonsdale, so it's actually thicker.
Yeah.
So this is like I said,
it's the same like with the Fausto he did last, right?
Yeah. Yep. So it's based on the Creature blend. I don't have pricing on that one yet, but there's going to be about 1,300 of these coffins that are going to come out. This is always a fun release to smoke, by the way.
Yes.
Where you smoke one blend is like twisted and one blend not twisted. So, but those are going to be coming out much later in the year. They won't be coming out at the same time as the Creature. So
just one thing to add on to that, Coop, because you can see in the picture the twist on the Culebra is not as severe as normal.
Yeah.
And that's intentional because you generally have to underfill a Culebra to get the sort of severe twists in there. And so there's actually more, I think he was saying there's more tobacco because it's not really so, a Culebra specifically, they kind of made it into a Culebra. So it's a little bit more filled than I think what you typically see with a Culebra.
Yeah, I think Saka did a similar thing with his, by the way.
Yes.
But that's why I think he put the Lonsdale as opposed to the Lancero in there.
Yeah,
and that's how I know also that it's not the same because the original one was El Triunfador, by the way. So that's not the El Triunfador.
Which was a great blend. I mean, if you've ever had a chance to smoke that original Culebra, it's fire. But
yeah, absolutely.
What did you think? You guys got to see most of the booths. I mean, in terms of pricing, with what people are coming out, new. I mean, were the prices more like every day $10, $11, a little bit more higher end? Like, what did you guys see out there?
It kind of seemed like it was all over the place. I was anticipating, because we've seen this sort of price creep a little bit, especially for brands who don't own manufacturing, right? It's very challenging. If you don't own the factory, if you don't own the vertical integration, you're at the mercy of where the industry is going. And look, manufacturer has to stay in business, and prices go up every year because labor goes up and product goes up. The materials go up. But I didn't really get the sense that we saw price creep, because I think we saw we were talking about that with the Room 101. Mm-hmm. The prices on the lower end, like sub $15, there seemed to be as many products sub 15 as over 15. And I was kind of very surprised by that.
I was too. I would definitely agree with that. Even like of the big four, STG had low pricing. Altadis was the one I would say that was kind of more across the spectrum. Drew Estate had their pricing, I would say 10 to 15 in most cases with the new Dominican stuff. So Davidoff kept their new release in the low 20s.
Very surprising, actually. Which for a company who's known for, kind of that ultra premium. I mean, I think
that's smart, though.
Yes.
The reps were very happy with that because especially this is a new core line, and if that would have been priced $35 to $40, it would have been a mistake. So
they did that with the Maduro. They did that with the Maduro. Coop.
They did that with the
Maduro. $59 it was. Yeah.
I think we were expecting. Honestly, I was expecting a $38 price point. I think when we were kind of informally talking before the show, but they came way under that.
Yeah, they came way under that. And Alex, this is why when I get on Abe saying we do need pricing and press releases, right? Because people were going in the perception of like, hey, this is going to be another $40 Davidoff, right?
I mean, listen, I get it, because even when you do the news, Coop, and if you don't say it, my first question is, what's that cost, Coop?
Right.
How much? So
Yeah.
no, I get it. I agree. It's my first question I ask you.
Yeah. So
and I have access to get it somewhere.
Like this seems great, but is it $50?
Is it $50 or is it $25? Because if it's $25, I'm interested. If it's $50, I don't know if we have money in the card this month.
Now to defend Davidoff a bit, right? They do have global pricing and it fluctuates a lot, right? But still, I think if you're targeting something, if you release something in the U.S. market, just give what the U.S. pricing is with that. So yep. All right. So next release this is one of the releases we saw last year that didn't get released and we saw this year. But I think last year Fuente had a whole bunch of releases. And one of the releases was this cigar called the Arturo Fuente Añejo River Valley Rare Earth. So here's what this was, okay? If you know Opus X, right, there's the Añejo, and the Añejo basically puts a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper over something similar to an Opus X blend. Now with this River Valley Rare Earth, they're doing a Connecticut Habano wrapper over instead of the broadleaf wrapper. So it's kind of the next derivation of Añejo. This is the one that didn't get released last year. And when I asked when it's coming out, Jose told me, Carlito doesn't rush anything. So I don't know when it's coming out, but they showed it.
Cooper, Carlito works at tobacco, and when it's ready, that's when he's not going to rush the product
out. You get it when you get it.
And he didn't tell me anyway. So, no, but they actually tweaked the packaging a bit this year. It looks a lot nicer this year, the packaging. So it's a little more, you got that field in the background, the green tray. So it does look a little nicer this year. This is the one I really wanted to smoke last year of all the releases. Like, this is the one I'm like, I wish this is the one that made it to market. So we don't know anything about pricing, sizing, or any of that. Fuente doesn't give you a lot of information at the booths. That's what I'll just tell you. But yeah, I'm really curious to see because they're using this Habano wrapper that's grown by a guy named John Foster, and he grows the T52 wrapper. He grows stuff for Ernesto as well.
We got to visit his farms a few years ago, which was a really cool experience.
Yeah, remember that trip? That was an awesome.
That was a great trip.
Yeah. Had I realized how, that was a big deal. So yeah, stay tuned on that. We don't know when it's coming out, but I thought it was really interesting.
Is that our news for the week?
One more.
Oh no, we do have one more.
So
A good one.
I always like to throw an accessory thing in there, and I'm not
Which I
doing
appreciate, Coop. I just want you to know that.
I am. I'm going to try to
have
do
toys, man. I don't have enough lighters yet.
Right. So when I say this was the when I look at traffic, this one got the most traffic in the last 7 days, and it was surprising and not surprising. So Perdomo is basically going to be selling a brand of lighters called ProFlame. And I actually saw this lighter. Nicholas Perdomo showed it to me down at the office back in March, so I knew this was coming out. And Perdomo, basically what they want to do is they want to have, they're trying to build up their accessories line. And what they didn't want to do is come out with a Perdomo branded lighter. They wanted to come out with a lighter. So this ProFlame lighter, it's really impressive looking. It uses this wide flame technology in there. It has a very big fuel tank. So this thing is a lot of fuel tank. They're saying it's 4 times the size of most pocket ones, and when you look at it and actually you look close, I kind of believe it for sure. It's lightweight, and
photo Coop?
But you know what's funny? I have your photo maybe in there.
There you go.
Yeah, that's John. That's the photo, John. Because my photo didn't come out good, right? So I used John's was much better. But $30 for this lighter, and Perdomo. Like I said, Perdomo's behind this thing, which is good. So. I imagine you'll see this at a lot of retailers pretty soon.
Is this kind of like a display shelf, Coop? Is that what this is?
Yeah, if you look at the bottom, you can see it. It's kind of like that display.
Like a drawer?
Yeah, and they have 4 colors with it. Yeah, so really sleek looking lighter, and I said it felt good. It lightweight. So I'm kind of excited about this one as well.
Yeah, it sounds like just a good $30 lighter.
Yeah, I mean, if they're getting behind this, they're not going for junk. So So yeah, they were pretty excited about this. They actually had a separate booth off the Perdomo end where they were selling this. So again, They're not branding this as Perdomo, but it's Perdomo selling this thing. This is who Perdomo is going to be. They're going to be the exclusive salesperson of this thing.
And I think we talked about that. It's pretty smart actually to not brand it with a particular manufacturer, because if you're a retailer, you kind of want to stay brand agnostic for accessories, because if somebody doesn't really relate to the Perdomo brand, they're not going to want to buy a lighter or a cutter that's branded Perdomo, right? So if you make it brand agnostic, that's a much wider market than otherwise, I think, for sure.
Sure. Now I'm just buying it for the merits of the lighter. Doesn't matter if I smoke Perdomo, don't smoke. I don't care who makes it. Perdomo's behind it. If it's a good lighter, I'm buying it.
Yeah, like I have this lighter. It's a Rocky lighter. Rocky has excellent lighters. They work well. They're great, but they are branded Rocky is the difference. So
yeah, but Coop, Rocky is a different category to me. I think Rocky is in the easiest position, maybe besides Ultimus, because they got the machine to do, but to pivot into a lifestyle brand. I could see Rocky Patel high quality leather wallets. You know what I'm saying? I think he's right there. He could do that. A Rocky Patel lighter, I don't feel like I need to smoke Rocky if I own. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure Perdomo could do the same thing though and knock it out of the park too, because they have such a strong fan base.
Sure.
But I think this is a better move, certainly, to kind of keep this wider. And I imagine there'll be other ProFlame lighters we'll see down the road or accessories, which I think will be pretty cool. Like I said, I thought it was very ergonomically good, lightweight, something that a good quality lighter you can take around. Yeah.
No, it's kind of this hybrid. It's a butane or a torch light, but I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a soft flame hybrid.
It's kind of torch. Right. That's how it is. So if you're a soft flame lighter fan, you're really going to like this lighter. And if you want all the convenience of a jet, that's what's great about this lighter.
Nice. That should be. When are they
and $30
shipping with PCA?
Not bad.
Yeah, I don't think exact ship date on that. I have to follow up on that. So I imagine they'll be soon if Perdomo showed this. Yeah.
Add it to my lighter list.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I don't have enough lighters yet.
I'm definitely gonna be collecting these. Yeah.
This is a reasonably smaller lighter, right, Coop?
It's a pocket lighter.
It fits in your pocket. It's just got a huge tank. I know we got to fill it with gas, but man, do I hate when my lighter runs out of gas.
When you see that tank in the pictures, it's hard to see you do it justice. It's a big tank. There's no question on that.
Gotcha.
I won't take it through TSA, but that's another story. I don't want to get confiscated, even if it's $30.
Was there anything you guys smoked at the show this year that really just wowed you? Anything really notable?
I have a weird one.
Uh-huh.
And I think it turned a couple heads. So Toscano, of all companies, had a limoncello cigar, and it sounds very strange, right? You think flavored cigar, really? Honestly, it was a very natural tasting flavor to it. It didn't have that artificial saccharin flavor to it. It was a very clean retrohale. I had it with a limoncello side, but I think Coop, you had it with the amaretto and coffee.
Yeah.
It's tasty.
When Loomis says it's the best cigar he had at the show, he liked it. I was like, gosh. It was very good. It was very good for a Toscanello and a flavored cigar. I was really, really surprised by it as well. The one that caught me by surprise was Tom Lazuka's Asylum. He's got the Tom Lazuka signature in the Corona Gorda. So, Asylum's known for these 60, 70 big ring gauge cigars. This is a 5 5 by 46 Corona Gorda, and I'm telling you, I actually smoked this cigar multiple times to make sure, and it's really, really a hell of a cigar. That definitely caught me by surprise.
Same. I smoked it. That was kind of my pack to bring back. That was kind of at the top of the list if I really want a chance to sit down with this cigar, and so I had a chance to smoke it last weekend. I think he's got a hit on his hands for sure.
He's got a big hit on his hands, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a big hit. I did smoke the new Perdomo and the Shade Grown. It's excellent. I mean, that's really going to be a home run for them. I smoked the Davidoff's really good. And I think the other one that a lot of our team liked was the LaFleur Carbon Flower.
Right.
It's a $40 price point on that one, though. So that's but it was really good.
You know what I didn't get to smoke at the show, and I want to smoke at the show since Laurel's on, is the Amar. That's on my list.
So I'm smoking right now.
There you go.
Nice. Don't be a show off.
Yeah, it's we had made this weird Torito size, which is like a kind of a long Corona, small, short Churchill sort of deal, and I have to say, I've been smoking a lot of them. They're very good. I mean, I know I'm biased. I work for the company, but, it's been good.
Laura, let me ask you a question.
I'll,
you guys are almost exactly like a year out from a massive fire. Are you guys still feeling the effects of that, or you feel like... Right, because it's almost it's like almost a year,
really.
Right around March, April last year.
It was March 30th last year.
Oh yeah, we're close.
So
a couple days.
Right before the trade show. I mean the factory is like 98% done. They're putting on some finishing touches. When I was talking to them at the show, they were saying June to be like completed, just, final details and everything. And, trying to work with contractors anywhere is a pain in the ass, but I feel like trying to work with, Nicaraguan contractors probably adds like a level of, sure. Complication. I'm not sure. Right. So, but in terms of like production,
I feel like there's probably an extra level of wheel and deal that American laws don't allow.
Right. So no, in terms of like production, everything is back to normal, but just we're waiting for the finishing touches on the factory itself. So it should be cool. I'm excited to go see it once it's up and running.
Awesome.
Nice.
Very good.
But yeah, it was kind of a mess before the show last year because it not only affected us, but it affected everybody or a lot of people. And I think people didn't really understand the scope of AJ's manufacturing until all of a sudden other brands they don't have their show releases. There's this big trickle down effect.
Right.
But yeah, all good.
Yeah, I feel like I would definitely like to be a fly on the wall in some Nicaraguan contractor negotiations and how that plays out.
Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. But no, I mean, he really wanted to come back strong, and it's like, all right, well, if we have to rebuild and make this new production facility, then do it to the way that we can continue to use it in the future to its fullest potential. So they're going to have like a whole media area. You guys will have to get down there and check it out.
That sounds great to me.
Awesome.
What do you, before we start wrapping up around here, what do you got going on? Any event soon? Where are you going to be? Where can we come find you? Laurel, first?
Well, I'll be at the Big Smoke next week, Saturday in Miami. So we will be there. It's our first time back at the Big Smoke in a couple of years. So that'll be
Where
fun.
is it?
I'll be at
Smoke Hard Rock.
It's at Eden Rock.
Oh, they moved it again. Oh,
So
okay.
nice.
South
Eden Rock.
Yeah.
I've stayed at Eden Rock actually. It's nice.
Yeah, so it'll be there, and then the following weekend I'll be out at Smokinos. So for best cigar prices,
right.
be out there for that. We'll be at Rocky Mountain. So, entering festival season here. It is my busy travel season. Although Rocky Mountain's going to be interesting this year, being in Cheyenne.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Bit of a pivot.
I've heard, mixed reviews on Cheyenne.
right.
I'm excited. I've never been to Wyoming, so we'll see.
That's
I
right.
guess it was like
forgot
a
about that.
liquor and tobacco tax deal.
Something. There was something deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good example.
So
Of
you're
you can
gonna
only
be-
you can only pressure it so much on taxes and restrictions before you have to make a pivot, and they made a pivot.
Right, that's what happens. We literally, there we go. Perfect example. They literally taxed an event out of the state.
Yep. That's what
Taxed them
happened.
right out of the state.
Yep.
Yeah.
John, what do you got going on?
And in my opinion, one of the best events.
Yeah, it's a great
Everybody's
event.
Smoke-
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to go,
Rocky
you gotta
Mountain was
go.
one of the best events.
Yeah.
What do you got going on, John?
We're still doing the blind review process over at Developing Palates. I think it's revitalized the experience for us. I mean, not that we don't enjoy smoking cigars, but doing it blind has brought a new, refreshing excitement for us to go in not knowing what it is, not knowing anything about the tobacco, the origins, the country, anything other than what you can see with your own eyes. And so I think the whole team has been pretty jazzed, and it's led to some fun. I think it's a fun conversation now when, Aaron kind of throws us under the bus to try and guess. Sometimes you look like geniuses. Sometimes you look like fools. And it's pretty entertaining for the audience to sort of watch that process unfold. And like I said, we're all having a blast with it. So
Let me ask you a question, John. When it comes to blind taste testing, right? And I don't know how often this happens because, sizes are quick. But, how often do you get, how do you blind taste test an eye of the shark? You know what I mean?
100%.
Or I feel like a bull. I know an Andalusian bull. I'm gonna know. I don't care what I know what this is.
Yeah. There is an aspect to that. If you've been smoking for more than a little while, there's been times where I've said to Aaron, look, as much as I might bag on someone else's process, if you've been smoking for any length of time, there are cigars, and I've done this where I looked at it, and just based on the shape, I go, I know what this is. If there's a 10-year span of what I was smoking, maybe it might throw a curveball at me. But there was several points this year already where I looked at it and I go, I know exactly what the cigar is because this shape only comes from this manufacturer. Or this, particular complication can only come from 3 factories.
Right.
I know what this is. And then you light it and you go, well, I know what that tobacco is, and that manufacturer is the only one that uses tobacco. Right. So I can play dumb, but I know what it is. So you can only be blind to a certain point, but you do have it does help, I think, to take the bias out of.
Sure, it's definitely the immediate preconceived notion.
Yeah.
Cooper, what do you got coming up?
We're still doing a lot of PCA recaps this week, so we'll be still ironing through those probably for another 2 to 3 weeks. We are trying to shorten that cycle for sure. I'm actually making a trip. I won't be near you, Laurel, but I will be in Eastern Tennessee in Knoxville middle of next week. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, that's some non-cigar business.
For fun?
I have that. No, it's non-cigar business I have, so I'll be out there. I always like
That's
going.
fun.
Yeah, I actually like Knoxville. It's a really cool town. So, and it's, it's right in the
Eastern Tennessee is beautiful.
Eastern Tennessee, the mountains are beautiful. Yeah. So, so I'll be out there middle of the week, and that's pretty much what's going on with me.
Nice. Well, that being said, we're back next week. Another episode. In the meantime,
and I'll be back next week as well. You got me 2 weeks in a row. I'm feeling very special here.
He's as coming in starting lineup. He's not relieving next week.
Yeah, exactly.
So we always like having John on. With that being said, Laurel, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you hanging out with us.
Thank you, Laurel. Yeah.
Everybody out there.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
For a couple hours. We appreciate it. Until next week, we will see you guys then. Keep it lit. We're out of here.